Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and I've spent the last week driving the 2026 Toyota RAV4 GR Sport. And I have already reviewed this vehicle, or a vehicle that is very, very similar. And so today I'm going to be doing a different style of video, doing a POV walkthrough of everything I found interesting about the RAV4 in the about 500-ish miles that I've put on it. Probably a little bit more than that, and I'll talk about that in a second. So let's start off with the exterior, and I hope you guys enjoyed this slight change in pace from my normal style of video. So let's start off on the exterior, and this is finished in supersonic red, which I have to say is pretty, if I do say so myself. We do have it plugged in here. So the RAV4 GR Sport is a plug-in hybrid. As you can see, we're using the ChargePoint charger. I don't know how much it is charging me, but we do have it plugged in right there. We'll do an exterior. This is the 2026 model, and it is all new for the 2026 model year. The RAV4 used to look different. Now it looks like this. You do get this giant grille up at the front. Really reminds me of the GR Corolla. So you do see that sort of lineage here. Although Toyota was very, very serious and specific in telling me that this is not considered part of their GR lineup of the GR86, GR Corolla, and GR Supra. This is a GR Sport, which is a light version. It does get different suspension, and we'll talk about that in a second, but you do get that GR badge. Very, very nice to see that. I like the headlights. I like the overall look of it. Just in general, I think it's a pretty good looking SUV. Supersonic red is definitely the color to get for the GR. We do have different wheels, some of the side cladding, but as you could tell, just from the side profile, this is very, very Toyota and very, very RAV4. Coming around the back, I really think that the back of the RAV4 actually looks like the mid-20-teens RAV4 warmed over. I think it looks less like the outgoing generation, but as we can see, we do get that plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, as well as the Beyond Zero logo. So that is Toyota saying, hey, you know, by 2030, I think they want to be like carbon neutral, things like that, I believe, if I remember correctly. Love these lights here on the back as well. Do I have the key? Oh, nope, that is the wrong key. Do I have the key in my pocket? No, I don't. Let me grab it from inside here. We will talk about the interior here in a second, but I have the key fob. And if we unlock it, we get a little bit of those lights around the back as well. Love that sort of gradient bar. The GR Sport does get the giant spoiler as well, and we get a GR badge down there. Coming around the other side, obviously looks the same as the other side of the RAV4. However, as you'll notice, we do have it plugged in because the charge port is on the passenger side. So very, very cool. As I mentioned, I love supersonic red. I think it's a great color here for the RAV4, and we'll get some lighting up front. There you can see the flashing, but I'll show some night shots now that I got last night in South Haven, Michigan, of what it looks like all lit up. And I think it is very, very handsome. I think it looks really, really good. And this update overall, it's very clearly still a RAV4, which is important to me, but it doesn't look, you know, too crazy. So we can now take a step inside here. First, right off the bat, you'll see through the window, we do get GR headrests. Really, really cool for that. Open up the door, and here we go. So this is the interior. We also get GR on the steering wheel. We get some red stitching all throughout. Here's the door card. Pretty standard operation stuff there. We get GR on the floor mats. As we come in here, we do actually have a pretty cool charging screen. So this is telling us how much the vehicle's charged, and you just saw that really cool animation. Love, again, that attention to detail. We are only 2% charged, and a full charge on this ChargePoint charger will be 3 hours and 10 minutes. Now, that's not super speedy. This is a level 2 charger. However, I'm in, as you can see, a business complex. If you parked it, you know, you're going to have a full charge by the time you get out for lunch. So very, very cool. Let's start it up here. Start button found over here. But that is very, very interesting. So the vehicle is on. And let's start off with the infotainment. The infotainment is really, really cool. This is all new for the 2026 Toyota RAV4. However, it also just debuted in the 2026 Lexus ES. So that is now the second product to get this style of infotainment. One thing people complain about is that the climate controls are ran through the screen. It's not a big deal, honestly. I just spent the entire week, actually technically 2 weeks driving this vehicle, and I never felt like this was an issue. Besides today, I was up in South Haven, Michigan. We had just gotten off the beach, and it does take about 8 seconds for everything to boot up. The car was so incredibly hot from sitting in the sun. It took about 8 seconds for us to start the air conditioning. Not a huge deal, but definitely one of the downsides of having the non-physical buttons. We do get our heated seats, so we get 2 levels of that. We get 2 levels of, we get 1 level of heated steering wheel. And then we do have physical buttons for our climate, like actual temperature, volume and stuff. That's all, physical buttons as well. Dual zone climate, so my fiance was able to pick her own temperature. Coming up here, we do have, obviously my mobile device is connected and things like that, but we also do have a drive recorder. Now, it is currently turned off, but there is a built-in dash camera in all new RAV4s. This is absolutely huge, especially if you're an Uber driver, Lyft driver, or just person that drives a lot, gets cut off, especially here, obviously in Chicago or Chicago suburbs. A lot of people drive pretty crazy, and so that is a must to have there. So a couple different things. We can also put it into like night mode, auto mode, things like that. And we also do have energy pages. So again, this is telling me how long it's going to take to charge, but I can turn on, charge scheduling. So if I know I leave at 8 a.m. every day, I can trigger this to start charging at like 4:30. So I have that fresh charge. And it's also going to charge my vehicle when demands on energy are lower, hopefully saving me some money. We also do have preconditioning on and things like that. Really, overall, this is a very nice infotainment system, and I'll show clips here of the backup camera. Unfortunately, I can't do it while charging, but here's what the backup camera gets. It also gets a 360 camera, which was very, very helpful. Again, gauge cluster nice. I like these steering wheel buttons. These actually do operate pretty well. Definitely easy to use. We have climate control vents. We have our drive mode select and EV mode. We have trail and snow, which I never really touch these buttons at all. You do get dual USB-C chargers, of which my girlfriend needed a USB-A adapter, and it worked perfectly for our road trip. We do have the camera view button. So there is our 360 camera top down, as well as you do get this sort of weird 3D looking thing. The cameras are pretty high quality, definitely very helpful, especially for parallel parking, as the vehicle just shut off for some reason. Shifter in the center, we have, power parking brake and auto holding brake. And then we do have this fun little contraption. So this is the center console, obviously, and you can open it from both sides, but if you hit both buttons together, you can pull the whole lid off, flip it upside down, and now you get a little container. So, or like a little tray, if you need like a hard surface, you could do that here. Take this back out, flip it upside down. It's a little awkward, but you can do it. Shifter, cup holders, things like that. This is the overall interior. We drove it. I got this car with about 40 miles on it. It has somewhere over 800 now. I will show it here. So did a lot of miles. I didn't hear any squeaks, beeps, rattles, anything like that. It was actually pretty solid throughout all of our travels. Stepping out here, I will quickly jump into the back. No, I won't. I gotta unlock it. I apologize. This is probably the clunkiest review I've ever done, and you can see why on my channel I do a very strict way of how I do my reviews, so they're not as clunky. But here's the back seats. We did not put anyone in the back seats in our time. We put a lot of sandy beach equipment back here. As you can tell, I will be vacuuming that out later tonight. Of course, we got the big friggin' bottle, but we can hop into the trunk. Power operated tailgate. absolutely lovely here for the GR RAV4. We do have the GR specific rear floor mat. So they do give you enough things in here to make you feel special. I do like that a lot. We do get a 12-volt outlet over here as well. Privacy cover. This was very, very helpful again while traveling, kind of concealing our luggage back here. And this is the at-home charger that they give you. So plug that into the wall and you could charge it overnight. You don't need to have your electrician come out and install something, although I highly, highly recommend it. You can come up here. You do have just closing or closing and locking. And then we will talk about our final part of the vehicle, which is honestly probably the most important part. But come down here. Oh, there it is. Grab that. And we will talk about the engine. So all RAV4s are hybrid from 2026 onward. There are no non-hybrids. It just depends on what kind of hybrid you want. This is the plug-in hybrid, makes over 300 horsepower, which is fantastic. Obviously lots of power. For the GR, you're going to want that power, but if you just buy the standard RAV4, it's still going to be a hybrid and get good fuel economy. The plug-in just adds extra mileage, so it can go over 50 miles in just electric mode with a full charge. Now this is paired to a 2.5 liter inline 4 CVT, pretty basic setup from there on out. Again, now shared with the new Lexus ES. But there you go. With the electric motor helping out, I drove this up to Wisconsin. So here's where I drove. I first drove it up to Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. And then once I got back to Chicago, I drove it to South Haven, Michigan. So 4 states with this vehicle. And when I had a full charge, I was able to get 60.5 miles to the gallon. 60.5 miles to the gallon. When I finally depleted the battery, as you saw in there, I was averaging about 35 miles to the gallon. So even without a battery charge, it still gets incredible fuel economy. But with that, if you have a sub 30 mile commute, you're going to be doing most of it in electric mode and getting insane gas mileage. Charge it up at work or charge it up at home, and it's going to work out for you. So this is obviously a huge win. Overall, I think the GR is fine. It does have slightly stiffer suspension, but I will say on our road trip, didn't notice it. Did not feel like it was jittery, didn't feel like it had harsher suspension than normal. It does, but it didn't feel that way, which was really nice. And overall, this to me feels like, you know, if a wife and a husband walk into the Toyota dealer, the husband really wants the GR Corolla, really wants the GR86, but you need a family car. This is kind of gonna feel that, like, it's a little bit more fun, a little bit more exciting, a little bit sportier, but definitely not the sports car that maybe the husband was hoping for. And that's what this car is. It's a little bit of a compromise, but I think it's very cool. And honestly, I enjoyed my week with it. I hope you guys enjoyed my video of the GR RAV4. Let me know if you guys like this sort of video for cars that I've already reviewed. If you want a little bit more of an in-depth, a little bit more casual of a walkthrough of the vehicle than my regimented reviews, let me know in the comments down below. If you do want to see every button and my original thoughts of when this car debuted, I drove it down in Phoenix, Arizona before the vehicle was released to the public. You can check out that video linked right here. But if not, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I appreciate you sticking around to the end. Until next time, take care, everyone.